At night, when the physicist closes his eyes, the universe doesn't disappear. It simply turns inward. The stars fade into neurons, constellations dissolve into electric sparks, and the vastness of space shrinks to the fragile expanse of the human mind. He's always wondered whether dreams are simply echoes of thought, or if they are the laboratory where the brain rebuilds itself. Molecule by molecule, synapse by synapse. Science calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's quiet ability to change, adapt, and rewrite itself. But he prefers to think of it as the art of becoming. Because every time we dream, something inside us bends ever so slightly toward a new version of who we are. The physicist sits by his desk, papers scattered like stardust, and imagines that the same laws that let galaxies form also govern the sleeping mind. The brain, like the universe, is never still. It's a dynamic field of energy, constantly reconfiguring connections, erasing what no longer matters, strengthening what does. In sleep, neurons whisper to each other in languages older than words, replaying moments, rethreading meaning, building new pathways that will define how we think, feel, and remember. Dreams aren't random, they're experiments. Each night, your brain runs simulations, testing how you might respond, how you might survive, how you might love. It's not fantasy, it's adaptation. When we dream of falling, it's our mind rehearsing how to find balance. When we dream of being chased, it's the nervous system learning to manage fear. When we dream of people we've lost, it's memory trying to heal the fractures that grief leaves behind. The physicist wonders if dreams are just another kind of gravity, a pull toward wholeness. During the day, the brain gathers experience like dust. During the night, it arranges that dust into stars. The more he studies neuroplasticity, the more it feels like a cosmic process folded into our biology. He reads research showing how each experience, every touch, every melody, changes the wiring of our mind. It's humbling to realize that who we are is not fixed, it's a pattern that keeps rewriting itself through time. In that sense, we are not so different from the universe itself. Flexible, ever-expanding, never the same twice. The physicist smiles faintly. The human brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, more stars than in the Milky Way. Each one sparks and fades, connects and disconnects, forming constellations of thought that shift every moment. The cosmos looks outward. The brain looks inward. Both are infinite in their own way. He imagines neurons firing in dreams like supernovas, in miniature exploding, rearranging, creating new patterns of energy. If someone could watch a dream in real time, maybe it would look like the birth of a galaxy. It's bright and chaotic, yet filled with order beneath the surface. That's the secret of neuroplasticity. It's not chaos. It's evolution disguised as sleep. The physicist recalls a line he once read: "You dream not because your brain rests, but because it works harder when you stop pretending to control it." That thought stays with him. When the conscious mind lets go, the subconscious takes over, pulling threads of memory from the day, weaving them into new meanings. It doesn't ask for permission. It rebuilds you quietly. Every thought you've had, every fear, every joy becomes raw material. The physicist imagines his own mind as a laboratory of light, with neurons humming softly in the dark, crafting new ways for him to see the world when he wakes. Maybe that's why dreams feel so strange, because we're witnessing ourselves mid-transformation. The rules of reality bend not to confuse us, but to teach us flexibility. Neuroplasticity is the physics of the soul. He thinks the way the universe teaches the brain to keep adapting. And in that adaptation, there's beauty. Because if the brain can change, then no pain is permanent, no memory is final, no version of ourselves is the last one. The physicist takes a deep breath. The candle beside him flickers, and he imagines the flame as a single neuron firing in the vast dark of the cosmos. Somewhere deep inside, perhaps a similar light flickers in him too. Every dream, every thought, every spark, it's all part of the same grand experiment. The mind, like the universe, is learning how to expand. Asterisk in the silence of night. When logic sleeps and imagination takes the wheel, the brain begins its quiet construction. Beneath the surface of consciousness, neurons fire in rhythmic bursts, creating patterns of light that no one sees, yet everyone becomes. The physicist thinks of it as a kind of cosmic maintenance, the brain cleaning its galaxies, rearranging its constellations. During the day, every moment of awareness leaves a trace, a chemical footprint burned into neural circuits. At night, those traces collide, fuse, and sometimes disappear. It's not erasure. It's recalibration. The brain decides which memories deserve to survive the next dawn and which ones should fade into nothingness. It's the architecture of forgetting, the physics of renewal. He remembers reading that during REM sleep, the brain behaves as if it's awake, only it's no longer bound by reality. It's as though the mind steps into a simulation of its own making, a universe within a universe, to test what it's learned. That's neuroplasticity in its purest form, a self-aware cosmos reshaping its own laws. The physicist closes his eyes, imagining billions of neurons flashing in harmony, like a city of stars in motion. He wonders if somewhere inside, it's strange to think that dreams might not be random illusions, but purposeful acts of engineering. When you dream of falling, of flying, of speaking to someone long gone, it's not fantasy. It's your brain simulating different versions of you. Each version slightly improved, slightly healed. When we wake up, we are not the same person who fell asleep. The physicist smiles at the thought that every night, humanity collectively rebuilds itself. Billions of tiny universes shifting, repairing, evolving, without ever being aware of the miracle happening inside. He finds beauty in the idea that change doesn't require effort, only surrender. To dream is to allow yourself to become new. In the same way that stars collapse to be reborn as light, the brain collapses its old networks to forge new ones. A neuron dies, another connects. Patterns reweave. Identities shift. Somewhere in the deep quiet, your brain decides to forgive, to let go, to try again. Dreams, he thinks, are emotional recycling experiences stripped of their sharpness and turned into understanding. That's why we sometimes wake up lighter, as if a weight we didn't know we carried has been dissolved in sleep. It's neuroplasticity expressed as mercy. The physicist looks out his window. The moon hangs low, pale, and imperfect, yet luminous. The brain is like that too, scarred, flawed, but still capable of shining. He recalls an experiment. Scientists once studied the brains of musicians and found that the more they practiced, the more their neurons adapted. But the most surprising discovery wasn't what happened while they played. It was what happened while they slept. Their brains continued to reinforce those pathways during dreams, repeating melodies in silence. The brain learns even when we think it's resting. In that sense, dreaming is the universe's way of teaching us persistence. Every night, the mind rehearses existence. The physicist imagines if the same could be true for emotion, if people who dream of love, of connection, are strengthening the circuits that allow them to feel it. Maybe that's why hope never truly dies, no matter how often reality disappoints it. The mind keeps rebuilding the pathways to possibility. Neuroplasticity isn't just biology. It's a philosophy of resilience written into the structure of life. The physicist picks up his pen, tracing a spiral on the corner of his notebook. It's a symbol he often draws, a shape with no end, only motion. That's how he envisions the brain, not as a machine, but as a living spiral of thought, constantly returning to itself in new forms. The more he studies it, the more he realizes that the boundary between mind and universe is thinner than he ever imagined. Neurons and galaxies follow the same principles. They both grow through connection, collapse, and rebirth. Perhaps dreams are the bridge between them, the thread where physics and consciousness intertwine. As he watches the candle burn low, he feels a strange gratitude for the nights he once feared, the restless ones, the haunted ones. Maybe even nightmares serve a purpose, forcing the brain to face its storms, to rewire fear into strength. Every bad dream, every moment of unease, is simply the mind experimenting with survival. It hurts, but it heals. The physicist takes a deep breath, and in that moment, it feels as though his own brain is humming with the soft electricity of becoming. He closes his notebook. Tomorrow, he will wake up slightly changed, though he'll never notice how. but his neurons will remember. His dreams have already rewritten him. The physicist stays awake longer than he should, tracing invisible constellations on the ceiling, his thoughts drifting between neurons and stars. Somewhere between wakefulness and sleep, he feels a flicker, the threshold where science ends and wonder begins. He realizes that neuroplasticity is more than a process. It's a philosophy written into existence itself. Everything that lives adapts. Everything that breaks learns how to heal. The brain, fragile yet infinite, is proof that change is the only constant. It never stops becoming. Even in dreams, even in silence, even in despair, it searches for connection, for meaning, for light. The physicist thinks of how the universe, too, has its own kind of neuroplasticity, galaxies collapsing and reforming, stars dying and being reborn, matter rearranging itself endlessly in the pursuit of balance. Perhaps creation itself is just the cosmos dreaming. Every new form, every new spark, a neuron firing in the mind of infinity. And we, the dreamers inside that dream, are part of its rewiring our thoughts, our love, our questions, feeding back into the pattern that sustains everything. He smiles faintly at the thought that maybe, when we dream, the universe dreams through us. Each flicker of imagination, each fragile memory reshaped by sleep, sends a ripple through the fabric of reality. What we think changes who we are. Who we are changes what we think. It's a loop, elegant and eternal. The physicist has spent his life studying the external world, the stars, the atoms, the laws that bind them. But tonight he understands that the greatest frontier lies within. The human brain is not a vessel to be filled with knowledge. It's a cosmos unfolding inward, an infinite field of potential where every thought births a universe of its own. In our dreams, we're not escaping reality. We're building it from the inside out. He imagines a neuron firing in a sleeping mind, a spark so small, so delicate, yet powerful enough to change the entire course of a life. One dream, one realization, one shift in perception, and the entire structure of the self can reorganize. That's neuroplasticity, the quiet miracle of renewal that happens while we surrender. The physicist exhales slowly, the candle almost gone now. The room glows dimly, yet inside his mind the light feels infinite. He remembers moments from his own dreams, fragments of color, faces that never existed, landscapes that defy gravity. Maybe they were never meant to make sense. Maybe they were lessons in disguise. The brain, after all, speaks in metaphor, not language. It shows us what we need to feel, not what we need to understand. Each dream is a message, encoded not in words, but in rewired neurons. He wonders how many times he has unknowingly healed in his sleep. How many times his mind has rebuilt a bridge he thought was lost. The physicist glances at the night sky one last time. It looks like a brain from here. Billions of stars forming filaments and networks across the darkness. Pulsing with slow, silent thought. Maybe the universe itself is conscious, learning through evolution, dreaming through the dance of physics and chaos. Maybe we are the neurons of that larger mind, life a signal traveling through the cosmic network, carrying emotion, memory, and meaning to wherever existence needs it most. He likes that idea that the same fire that powers stars also powers thought, and that every time a neuron fires, a little piece of the universe remembers how to create. The physicist writes in his notebook, "To dream is to evolve." He looks at the words, simple yet infinite, and feels an odd sense of peace. Change is not something to fear. Forgetting is not loss. Sleep is not the end of awareness. They are all part of the same cycle, the universe's endless attempt to refine itself through experience. The brain, through neuroplasticity, is just the local expression of that cosmic rule. Adapt, transform, and begin again. The candle burns out completely, and for a moment, the room is dark. But in that darkness, he sees it, the faint glow of neurons in motion. The quiet storm of dreams still shaping who he will be tomorrow. The physicist closes his eyes, and somewhere deep inside, his mind opens like a new universe. It is rewiring, expanding, learning. It is alive. And as he drifts into sleep, the last thought he has is not a question, but a feeling that maybe After all, we are not just made of stardust. We are made of possibility.